Hi guys, in this video chapter of lessons learned and introduction to drafting with AutoCAD, subchapter fun with circular or polar arrays as they are called in AutoCAD, I want to show you how to use the command which is not difficult to grasp, but more importantly I want you to get exposure to and become more familiar with other commands such as XLINE, offset, circle, array, explode, trim, limits, and additional elementary exposure to how to set up your drafting settings, work with the Dimension Style Manager, work with layers, and print your work. Having said that, if you continue to choose to watch more of my videos for these lessons learned in Intro to Drafting, the idea is that you will gain confidence in using this program for many applications, those that are required in your field and those that extend beyond technical fields and can be used for presentation applications. To begin, as always, I will open a new drawing using the AutoCAD standard template. I will first set my drafting settings. I will not be working with the snap command, but I will set up a grid line of different than by default. By default, the grid line has minor lines every half inch and major lines every 2.5 inches. I will change them to a 1/4 inch and major grid lines every inch. This gives you an idea of scale whenever you draw. You may want to change them differently, but for this purpose, I change them so I basically see 1 inch squares. Um, to start the drawing, I'm going to create two infinite long lines, one horizontal and one vertical. In AutoCAD, you could create them using the XLINE command by typing it in directly, XLINE, or I'm sure there's a tab, but I'm old school. I like to use commands. I'll enter H for horizontal. I'll just arbitrarily place one here. I'll create another one in the vertical direction. You can zoom in and out using your scroll wheel. I'm assuming a certain level of competency, um, but that's pretty minor. I will draw a circle about this intersection. So I can enter C, circle. I will hold down the control button, press the number 2 mouse button, and I will select the intersection. And I will draw a circle. I will enter D for diameter, but that's what it is by default. But I will enter D for diameter, and I will specify a 2.5 inch diameter. Next, I will draw a circle about this intersection here. I will specify the diameter as 1 inch. Next, I will offset this circle by a 1/4 inch by typing offset, specifying the offset distance as a 1/4 inch. And here's my circle. Next, I'm going to array this circle around this circle every 45 degrees. And I can do that by typing in array. I need to select the objects for the array, which is these two. Press the number 2 mouse button. I want the polar array. The base point for the polar array is the intersection or the origin here that I created with my infinite long lines. And by default, it shows me this. Up here, you can change the array parameters. such as the number of items, the angle in between, the fill. As you adjust these, the others will adjust accordingly so that the numbers make sense. So, for instance, if I want circles every 45 degrees and I change this to 8, 360, around 360 degrees, it changed the angle 45 degrees, every 45 degrees, 360. If I'm happy with that, I could close the array. To zoom in, I use a scroll wheel. Next, I will use the explode command in order to trim these lines in between to make this visually where we want to head towards. Let's explode by typing. I could type in explode. I select an object of the array with the number mouse button. I press the number 2 mouse button. Now the array was exploded. Next, I could use the trim command by typing trim. Press it twice, and I can select all of the items I don't want. So, for example, I want this circle to wrap around here. I'm going to cancel this, delete this circle for a moment. Interfere with what I'm trying to do. Enter trim TR. Press the spacebar twice. So I want that one above this one. This one like that. This one like that. So I have my first ring that is visually comprehensible. Next, I will trim these two guys, these two guys, these two guys, these two guys, these two, 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 and these two. And I think this is the pattern that I wanted to achieve. Basically, it's a ring of rings. Next, I'm going to work with layers. I want to print this drawing, and I want to show some center lines, and put these on some layers. So I will click on the Home tab in the layer properties. I will create another layer called Center. I will change the line type. I will load a center line type. I'll select this one. Select it. Okay. I'll change the color of the center line to magenta. We'll change these two lines to center lines by entering CHPROP for change properties. It asks me what do I want to change. I'm going to enter LA, and the layer I want is center. Change it to center. Next, I'm going to just arbitrarily draw a circle so I could trim these infinite long center lines. So I'm going to draw a circle. at the intersection here, and I'm gonna just draw it there. Next, I'm going to trim these infinite long lines using the trim command. I will delete this circle, and this is more where I want to head towards. Next, I want to get ready to print what I drew. So I will need to specify the limits for this drawing so they're printable. I'm not going to draw it to any particular scale. In this video, I just want a printed image of what I drew. I will enter the command limits, and I will specify such that specify lower left corner such that nothing is interfering. Say here and up here. I specified the limits. It's important. If I zoom all to my limits, it basically zooms to my limits. I will re-specify them to make sure that the bottom doesn't get cut. And zoom all again. Okay. Next, I will go to the paper space, and this is what I see. I will double click inside the paper space. I will hide the grid lines by just turning them off. I can show additional center lines for the center of each circle. I will change the layer by double clicking on it or selecting it and clicking the check mark. Under the annotate tab, there's a center mark tab, and I could pick each circle to show the center lines. Next, I really don't want the extension lines for these center lines, so I will hide them. I will select each one, and under the show and under in the properties menu, I will hide. I could select all of them, and I'm pretty sure I could do them all in one shot. And show extensions. No. Okay. Next, I don't want this rectangle to be printed, so I'm going to create another layer called viewports and then hide it. So I'll select the default layer of 0. I'll create another layer called the viewports. For viewports, I will turn it off by clicking this light bulb. I will go back to my centerline layer, and I will use the change properties command again to hide and change the viewport layer, which was on the default layer of 0. I will change it to the viewports layer, which is turned off. So CHPROP enter, select the viewport, enter LA for layer. The new layer name is viewports. Double enter, and that box disappeared. At this point, I'm ready to print the drawing. I could hit Control P. I could specify the printer if I wanted to just print it at 8.5 by 11. This is my default printer for that. What do I want to print? I want to print my layout. I could preview the drawing, and this is what will print if I hit print. And that's all I really wanted to show. Thanks for watching.